Anthropic launched this new experimental feature called Agent Teams back in February, and this might be Anthropic's biggest product launch so far. So Agent Teams is basically a way to spawn a team of agents that work in parallel, which is similar to subagents, except now the agents can communicate with each other while they're working. So what's the big deal with that? Well, to find out, I decided to try and use Agent Teams to solve a very recent problem in my life. Now, you may or may not know this about me, but I'm relatively new to this YouTube game, and so I'm not very good at building thumbnails and the algorithm and all that. In fact, I lean very heavily on my co-host Dan to help do all of that work. So to help him out, I decided I'm gonna build an app that can generate trendy YouTube thumbnails that everyone's gonna wanna click on. So if this all goes well, maybe that'll be the thumbnail of this video. Okay, let's start with the positives. This thing is really good at building standard infrastructure that works right out the box, right out the gate. Right out the door. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've worked with a single agent to try to build something, and it kind of gets it right, but then it always messes something up or misses something, and then you have to go on this whole big debugging, pair programming journey with the agent. But here, I can define my own team. I started with one that had a UX designer, one was a technical architect, one was a QA that did end-to-end testing, and one of them was just always playing the devil's advocate and always arguing with the others. It was honestly amazing seeing the agents debate with each other in real time and seeing one agent raise an edge case or an idea that the other missed out on. I mean, just having so many agents working together to solve the same problem, they were raising considerations that I hadn't even thought of. For example, I told the team that the user should be able to describe the video and provide context for how to generate the thumbnail. But the UX agent raised a point, which is, well, the user might know how to describe their video, but they might not even know where to start in terms of generating a thumbnail artistically. And so they catered the UI with guardrails and tips to help guide the user in terms of deciding what types of artistic styles they want to see within the new thumbnail. Anyways, after completing the task, the lead agent will clean up the team that got spawned, allowing you to create a whole new team depending on what types of features you want to build or iterate on. At one point, I even had a team of applied scientists debate on which models were best to use for text and image generation. I even had a team of researchers to look up, well, what makes a YouTube thumbnail trendy and makes people want to click on it? And it compiled this big long list of details like what types of genres need split panes or what types of text show up, or basically all these different attributes that make a thumbnail, well, clickable. Okay, now let's go over where Agent Teams starts to falter. Firstly, it is costly. I was burning through tokens so fast I thought Jensen Huang might adopt me.
If that $500,000 engineer did not consume at least $250,000 worth of tokens, I am going to be deeply alarmed. Deeply alarmed.
So if you don't have at least the Claude Max subscription, you are going to hit your usage limit extremely fast. Now, let's talk about user experience. Anthropic has been very clear that this is still an experimental feature, but if I'm gonna have to spend $100 a month just to use this thing, I expect a top tier product. Firstly, if you've been using Claude for a while and you've got your whole workflow set up, this might not be a big deal for you. But if you've never used Claude before and you want to set it up just so you can try out this Agent Teams feature, you are going to be super confused. The Claude documentation starts off by offering you all these different platforms for web, app, terminal experiences. It's all fake. The only users that they care about are terminal users. Now, I tried doing everything using the desktop app at first, but to even use the Agent Teams experience, you have to enable it in the settings.json file, which is kind of a headache to even find out where to update this. And once I did get it working, I tried running that team of 4 agents I mentioned before, and one of the agents just kept crashing every time. Okay, I don't really know why one of the agents keeps failing. Like, can I only do 3 agents per team? At first it was the UX agent, and then it was the technical architect, and then it was the QA. Like, they just kept passing the baton on who was gonna blow up on me every session. And each time I'd ask the lead agent to diagnose the issue to mitigate it. But after 30 minutes of trying to resolve it, eventually I just gave up and switched to the terminal experience, which was a little bit better. I wasn't running into any bugs, thankfully, but I did encounter a new issue. So on the desktop app, you can see a different window pane for each of the agents, and you can track what each of them are doing and follow along in their conversations. Well, on this single terminal window, I had to watch everything in a single console log output, which is kind of okay at first, But as I'm trying to follow along with the conversation happening between two different agents, suddenly, boom, I'm hit with a 200-line code change to review.
See, it's kind of cool because you can keep track of what each person's doing. Jesus. Ugh.
And it's way too much to look through. And I got hit with those so frequently, eventually I kind of just gave up reviewing the code and just auto-approved everything that got sent my way. Okay, but June, you're just being nitpicky and grumpy. What about its actual capabilities? Well, yes, as I mentioned before, it's capable of doing some amazing things. In fact, I really wanted to love this feature. I was really excited to push it to its limits. Just that I found the limits kind of quick. I found that once I started to dive into less generic tasks, the team really started to struggle. Now, to be fair, I wasn't really trying to create this major product that would be sold to the masses and would become a big success. I was really just focused on trying to test what the agent teams itself could do. So because I wasn't integrated with any really powerful image generation models, there wasn't a whole lot that the web app could do, artistically speaking, that is.
Okay, I mean, the vision's kind of there, you know. No way. Yeah, that's a classic. And then it's kind of got the elements of a Reddit post, sort of. I think it just doesn't know what a Reddit post looks like.
So even though I had architected my app to leverage all this documented research about what makes a thumbnail good, and I had used this template system to choose a good composition of the image based off of what the user described of their video, it still generated some pretty funny results. Now, all this to say, I still really enjoyed my experience using Agent Teams, and Anthropic has been very clear that as a product, this is very much a work in progress. In fact, they have a whole list of other limitations that I just didn't have time to get into for this video. So I would definitely recommend checking that out before you spend any money. Do I think that this is worth spending $100 a month? Well, I'd say that's somewhat of a personal decision. People have definitely spent much more for much less. But I'm excited to see where Anthropic takes it and hook it up to some more powerful tools and dependencies, and I can definitely see this becoming an absolute weapon of software development. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe, punch the comments, you know the deal, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.